Hey everybody, it's your girl Charlotte Van Horn, Black Expats in Panama, and I am here today on behalf of my podcast, Black Expat Journey, that you can find everywhere. I always forget the places, but like iHeartRadio, Apple something, SoundLink, just look for me. I'm there, okay? But anyway, I'm so excited today because I am getting a chance to talk to some people who are not only like my dear friends, but some expats that I met like early on in the game. They are a couple who can speak to us about two of the loves in my life at this time. One being Panama, one being Colombia. Hey, you know how we do.
Hey,
Oh, they can talk to us about being married and deciding where they were going to live and how they're doing it. You're not going to believe this amazing couple and talented, beautiful, loving people that I have with me today. So, hello, Aisha and John.
hola,
Hey,
hola.
hola, ¿cómo está?
Muy bien, gracias. How's your Spanish?
John
John
is
is better.
excellent.
Creciendo, getting better and better.
Oh, muy bien, gracias.
See, you be in and out of the countries, and so when you're in like Colombia or Panama, you practice more.
That is true. However, one of
Mm-hmm.
the things I have done very intentionally is to stay in contact with a couple of friends of mine who are interested in learning English, who are native Colombians.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get on video chats periodically, and we'll spend an hour, half hour English, half hour Spanish. And that has turned out to be a really powerful way to stay connected to the language and the culture, even though we may be like we are right now, currently in Detroit or wherever we happen to be.
That's a good
And
idea.
it,
It
How
it,
is.
it
often do you
really
do it?
works. Typically, a couple times a week for about an hour. And we agree on some days and some times. And we just get on our video chat on WhatsApp typically, and we just talk about whatever. And we spend half the time in one language, half the time in the other language. And we each help each other because our goal is to become as close to native speakers as we can in our new adopted language.
I love
And
that. I
Yeah.
love that. I'm gonna recommend that at our next cafe and conversation because we're always looking at ways to, try to speak more. And even if you're in the country,
Yeah.
sometimes you don't have like a whole half hour conversation with somebody,
All right.
right? So, the fact that you're, making the effort to get together to do that, it
Mhm.
might be even more effective than, having hit or miss conversations, with the guy at the gate or the lady at the grocery store.
Yes.
Because other than that, it's hit or miss,
Yeah.
right? So that's
Right.
cool.
And wherever we are, if we hear someone that sounds like they speak Spanish, we'll say, "Do you speak Spanish?" It could be in the elevator, the grocery store, and they'll tell us, "Oh, yes, see." And we're like, "What's your number?" I mean, it's like we're just desperate to talk to people who speak Spanish.
And even
Yeah.
here in Detroit, there is a growing Hispanic community.
Community.
And we'll go to a restaurant and discover that somebody speaks Spanish there. And we'll say, hablamos todo en
Total
español. Por
Espanol.
favor.
And
Mm.
if they try to
All
speak
Spanish.
English, I'll cut them off. I said, "We said only
Yeah,
talk
yes.
in
We look,
Spanish."
look, look. Back, we used to say back in the back in the day in Jersey, I called first. I called first. I called
Yes,
first. Now, if you'd have said only English, I may have considered it, but I called first Spanish.
first.
I love it.
Right.
I love it. So that's a nice intro into our conversation. You guys are like world travelers and you're open minded and just living your best life. I like the fact that you have designed your life based
Mhm.
around what gives you joy, and I
Yes.
Mm,
believe that is what we have earned, right?
that
Yes,
So
is
we
true.
have.
yes we have, and we don't know how many years we got left. We
Mm,
don't know how many days we got left. At the end of the day, every day has to be like our last. We
like
gotta
it's
live it. We
golden.
gotta live it till the wheels fall off, baby. You hear what I'm saying?
Like it's
Yeah,
golden.
I plan to be
That's
here
it.
at least until 100 or so. But
you better be, or I'm gonna kill you.
but for however long it is, it's probably that true that there are fewer days ahead than there are behind.
Yes.
But regardless, every day needs to count.
Golden.
Every day, every
And
single
like
day.
one of what's my girl Jill Scott's song "Living Life Like It's Golden,"
Yes,
because
Yes,
it is. It
it
really
is.
is.
Yeah.
Because it really is. And I am glad that, speaking of that I live in Panama, because
Mhm.
living in Panama has given me a sense of peace and joy that I've never known in just everyday life. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? So it's like
Mhm.
it's like when I'm talking about, no matter how the day is going, I have
Mhm.
peace and I have joy
Mhm.
here,
Good.
and when I know that when I sleep, I sleep good. When I wake, I awake refreshed and excited about my life. And
Okay.
that is, that's why Alfredo is in a little bit of a different space. I'm still working. Alfredo's retired. But I
Right.
respect it. I respect it when he say, I don't feel like doing that. Bro, listen, you done worked a lot of years. You have put your time in. You have done all the things that you didn't feel like doing, but because you
Uh-huh.
had to do it anyway. If you don't want to do it, I get it. But you're going to be retired today. Just have your
Good.
tail back ready to work with me tomorrow. I'm
Well,
playing. I'm
having
playing.
been blessed to
But
spend a lot of time with Alfredo,
Uh-huh.
I really appreciate my
I
brother.
do. I do.
And I think it's really about intentionality,
Mhm.
that recognizing that we have the opportunity to choose
Choose.
to be where and with whom and do what we choose to,
Uh-huh.
and choose to step back from the things that we
Don't want to do.
yes,
choose to step back from.
yes,
I worked in information technology for more than 40 years. I enjoyed it when I was doing it, but I'm so grateful not to have
have
to
to
do
do
Mhm.
it.
that
Yeah.
now. Now I get to do the stuff that I really love.
And he
What's
helps me. The same thing like Alfredo. John
mm-hmm.
will say, Aisha, that is your project. And I'm like, please, John, please, I really need you. And he'll say, well, for how long? You know? So he
How
works
much
with
time you
me.
need?
Yeah, he'll work. Oh, put me on your calendar. Okay.
Yes,
So
yes,
it works
yes,
out.
yes. But you
Yeah.
both stay busy doing different things. And, John, you are a professor and a college professor and a life coach. Miss
True.
Aisha is a published author and whatever else she doing, she always doing something. When she coming to
True.
Panama,
True.
when she's in Panama, she's the event planner on deck. So tell us about what you guys are doing with your life and your time at this juncture in your life. Introduce yourself and this. We just got all over the place.
Okay.
We just got all over the
Okay.
place. You ain't even had a chance to introduce yourself. So
Yeah.
go ahead. Talk to
Okay,
me.
so I'm Aisha, and I've lived everywhere. I started out in St. Croix. I was living in Washington, D.C., where I grew up and went to Howard University. And I was like, oh, those islands look so pretty on television. And I think I'm going to go. And I had a baby. He wasn't even walking. And I said, well, let me see. I saved up enough for 2 months' rent. Wherever I lived, it was going to be that amount. And I packed the baby up and
And
we
a
went.
microwave.
Oh, I took a microwave. They had just come out then. And I said, well, I'm going to pack this because I can warm up the bottle and do TV dinners if I have to. So we
Mhm.
went to St. Croix, and I really didn't know anybody. And I found a place like the same day, you know. And the next day, I asked around about babysitters, and I found a woman way up in the mountains, and she was beautiful. She took care of
Mhm.
this little boy. I went in town to the National Endowment for the Arts, and
Mhm.
they gave me a job teaching drama. You know, God is with you, especially with fools and babies. So I don't know which one I was at the time, but anyway, I got a job teaching drama. And that was just such a blessing. So I stayed in St. Croix for several years. And then I said, well, let's try St. Thomas, you know. So the little boy was walking then, and I think he was about 3, yeah, when we left. and went to St. Thomas, and I started learning about real estate. So I studied real estate. I got with a big firm there, but my math is horrible. I just want to tell you. And back then they had these big clunky calculators that I could not figure out how to work. But one thing I did was I had the gift of people. I brought more people into that real estate office to
Wow.
buy land and housing than anybody. And
Wow.
so the broker said, look, you've taken the test 3 times. I've taken GR1, GR2, 3, and I passed all of that. But the test I just could not pass with them calculators. So he
Yes.
said, I want you to stay on with us. So anyway, the sales went through him, but I got my commission. And then I was like, okay, I can do this, yeah. So I opened up a dress boutique on the waterfront in St. Thomas called Ajamu's Imports. Then I realized I don't want a dress store. People are aggravating. They come in, they don't know what size, then they don't like it, they want to bring it back. So I gave that business to my friend.
Hmm.
Then I went to St. John. I love St. John. Oh my God, you would
Wow.
love St. John. And you're in the U.S. Virgin Islands,
Heck yeah, exactly. That's the unique thing about your trek right now is that you didn't even have to have a passport, right?
No, neither one of those islands, all
And
three
they're
of
all
them.
English speaking places.
Yeah.
And they drive on
And
the wrong side of the road.
Oh,
they drive on the left. And you can get a job without having to get a visa and all of that.
yes.
But anyway, I stayed there for a while. I ended up teaching drama again, and I managed a hotel. I mean, I was just all over the place. One thing about the Virgin Islands is that if you dream it, it will happen. You don't have a lot of bureaucracy and red tape, and it's just like just plan it, meet people, and it will happen for you. So I really love the Virgin Islands, except the hurricanes.
Mm.
That's
Mm.
the thing, And then John and he got a contract with the British Virgin Islands government to help them with their IT, with the transition. Remember that Y2K thing?
Mm.
So they brought John there. First, he came home and said, Aisha, they want me to come to the islands. Do you want to go? I said, you got to ask me that, please. I hope you said yes. So we ended up in Tortola.
Tortola.
So he
And
has
And
to fill in something there because we don't know when he came into your life.
oh my God, girl, yes.
Yes,
Okay.
like all of a sudden
So
John's here.
so in between living in the Virgin Islands, I would go back to LA. I kept my apartment there. I would sublease it for like maybe a year and I come back when the lease is up. So my son would be in the same community. So I went back one time. I started to go to North Carolina, but the spirit said, no, go back to LA. You could get your place. So I went back to LA and Ajamu is like 13 then. And if I said up, he said down. You parents know about these teenagers where you just want to bury them and dig them back up later. But anyway, he was a problem. And so his counselor at school said, put him in Boy Scouts. I said, I never thought of that. He's in football. He said, but those are not things that teach him how to connect and help and build. So I went to the Boy Scout house, and Mr. Banks was the head of the Scouts. Girl, boy, everybody. Soon as I sat down, I knew I was going to marry this man. My legs wouldn't move. I couldn't stop grinning. And my heart was just pounding. I mean, I actually heard bells, okay? And my
Wow.
son looked at me and he said, Mommy, why are you looking so crazy? I said, shut up, kid, okay? So anyway, I went home and I told my girlfriend, I said, I met the man I'm going to marry. And I lived for Fridays just to see Mr. Banks, who did not have a clue. Okay.
None whatsoever.
None. So it took a little working, but I wasn't too aggressive because I didn't want to seem like a desperate woman, even though I
Yes.
wanted
You didn't want to
to.
scare you didn't want to
I
scare
held back
Mr.
on it.
Banks.
That's right. I scared him. I did scare him once and I backed off. And for my birthday, he took me to a Bible study, girl. I had got dressed up and I told my girlfriend when he opened the door, tell me what to put on. She said, girl, he got a computer shirt on with some nerdy, the first Adidas that ever came out. He looks like a nerd. So I just put on jeans and a t-shirt. And I thought we were gonna go out. He took me to a Bible study. Okay.
Wow.
But that was one of the best dates I've ever been on.
Oh.
Yeah,
So
there are a
tell
lot of
me this.
stories. Yeah.
That's a lot of stories. Okay, we're gonna let y'all go. We're gonna let John fill in some
Come
stuff.
on,
But
John.
let me ask you this. What year was that you met?
We met in 87.
88.
We met in
88.
88, March the 3rd, Friday, March the 3rd.
And got married in
Okay.
89.
And we got married April 15th, 1989. So I had to work it for a year and a couple of months.
Are you kidding? It took Al 7 years to marry me, and I had to propose to him.
See, you should have called me. You should have called me. I would have gave you some
Listen,
tips.
listen. If it just for me, getting married to me was never a big deal.
Oh,
I was never one of the things that I dreamt about as a kid, right? But
and you want the pension.
yes, honey,
To get the
yes,
pension.
yes, yes.
Okay.
But yeah, so we were just together for quite a while, but I knew that I wasn't gonna die nobody girlfriend.
That's
That's
right.
it. That's it. I wasn't gonna be your girlfriend all your life. That just didn't seem right. So, because I think he would have went for it, y'all. So, all right, John, talk to me.
But wait, let me just say one thing, then I'm gonna
Okay.
let John. And this is
Poor
private. You
John.
guys keep it a secret, okay?
Okay.
John John did not believe in sex before marriage. So we had to work it quick.
Yeah, yeah,
Go
you
ahead,
was like,
John.
I can't, I ain't gonna be too many years, huh? But
Well,
that's
I know
good.
I
It's
act like a virgin. I wasn't gonna be desperate. Go ahead.
you know something else? God will send you who you need.
That's right.
Because, back in the day, I used to really like drugs. I
Oh
did.
yeah.
I really
Mhm,
did.
mhm,
And part of when I moved from New Jersey to Biloxi, it was just
mhm,
like, my life is going nowhere. And what do I have to lose? And so you talk about going with the microwave and your baby. I went with a $17.88 Foot Locker with to Mississippi. And of course my bestie Karen, she had me ready. All I had to do was get there. But we went there and I met someone, and I was, decided I was going to change my life. And I did. But I met someone who it would have never worked. If I decided that I was going to go back to that lifestyle again, he would have never been in my life.
mhm,
It was just he was so extreme when it came to drugs. It was just like he said one time, he said, "Can you believe this guy's on dope?" He was so hurt when he found out one of his friends was on dope. And I said, "Really?" Because back in my day, dope was heroin.
Really?
You know what I mean? What they called it, girl or boy or whichever one it
What's
was.
up? Yeah.
But I said, "Oh my
Smashing.
gosh!" And he's in the military too. That is awful. He was talking about reefer. I said, "Goodness
Okay.
gracious!" And I was always very upfront about what I do. I've never been ashamed of any part of my life. My life is
Me
my
too.
life is it
It
makes me
is.
everything
Yeah.
that I am today. And I just thank God
Today.
that I survived my life, baby. But had I come into because I was newly clean, I mean, God delivered me. I never went to NA meeting or none of that. I just
Right.
was delivered.
Made it
And
to
Mhm.
but
something.
had it been somebody that
Mm-hmm.
even wanted to trickle and dip and dab in some mess like that, I could have gone
Mm-hmm.
down the wrong path again. But
Mm-hmm.
God gave me a man that would have never happened. So
Mhm.
that's what he did for you with John.
Yes, he did.
Now, I don't
All
know
right,
how was
Mr.
come
Banks.
behind all that, but I grew up in Detroit, where we are living right now. Graduated high school and Wayne State University here as an engineer, an IT person. Um, I got a job before I graduated at Hughes Aircraft in Los Angeles. And so the day after my graduation party, I got on a plane, flew to LA, and started working. And I loved the work that I was doing there. It was all about technology and all that kind of stuff. And we were doing things that I thought were really cool technically. And I experienced a lot of favor in the work that I was doing, and it was a great, great experience. And as time passed, the company shifted. I mean, after Howard Hughes died, then things became very different in the aerospace industry in Southern California. And eventually it led to me deciding it was time to leave LA. Just before that, though, was when Aisha and I got married. And actually the way it worked out is our son Ajamu moved into my place first because he had gotten to be quite a handful. And then we later got married. When she talks about his counselors at school, his high school counselor had my phone number at work on his auto dialer.
Well,
so if I give you a clue, I was the most well-known parent on that high school campus. The administrators, the staff, the security people, everybody knew me. It was I was a regular.
So hold on. So you accepted her son like that. He moved in before she did.
He did.
Oh, before we even talked about marriage, he took him as a mentor. He used to mentor him every Monday or Tuesday. They would go out and do stuff after school. This is before we even knew we would get married, because he was his Boy Scout master. Yeah.
Well, that's
but I knew.
Beyond.
Yeah, I knew.
And that was fine, because I had done things like that with other people. Because I was between Boy Scouts and youth ministry at my church, I was always dealing with somebody's kids.
Wow.
That was just the part of, that's who I am. That's what I do.
Yeah.
But see, the problem was that Aisha was the mother of a Boy Scout, and my rule for all those years, I had been in scouting for like 25 years, was don't mess around with Scout mothers, because it's a conflict of interest. And it's not like other mothers hadn't tried to.
They did,
but
they tried to roll up on you.
I broke that rule.
And
okay.
So some of them did try to roll up on me, and it was like, no, that's not happening.
What happened?
And then Aisha came along, and something broke.
What happened?
Like I said, something broke. But anyway, after we got married, we adopted our youngest son while we were in LA, and then we moved to the East Coast. And
we adopted another son.
Yeah, we adopted our younger son. So
we have two kids.
We adopted our younger son. We moved to the East Coast. We lived in Northern Virginia primarily. And then eventually the technology industry kind of shifted. And for the first time, I didn't really have a really good career situation. And so that's how I got invited to go do some contracting in the British Virgin Islands. And so that's how we ended up living there for a number of years with our two oldest grandchildren, who came to stay with us for several years. And
the one who recently passed away.
The youngest one who recently passed away. So that was a mixed blessing, because from a living environment, it was the greatest place you could ever want to live. And it was my first time actually living outside of the country. I had traveled outside of the country many times before that, all over Canada and through Europe and all that as a teenager. But the British Virgin Islands is my first experience actually living outside of the US.
We ran a Bible camp too in St. John for years.
But that's US.
Yeah. Okay.
So Tortola and Virgin Gorda were my first experiences living outside of the country. And I've discovered that I really enjoyed that experience of being connected to the U.S., grounded in the U.S., but living somewhere else. And I think that's what kind of set the stage for what unfolded later on. Eventually, I stepped back from the technology engineering workspace, and I have settled into two things that are the love of my life. One, as a college professor, working with freshmen, first-year students, helping them develop the skills, strategies, acumen to be successful in college, and consequently professionally and personally. And that's something that is so much a part of who I am that I would do it for free. Now,
I wouldn't let them.
I take the money. Because the fact is, I mean, I do the work, I earn the money, but I do what I do because I love it, because I'm committed to that proposition that the investments I'm making in these first-year students is something that brings value to our community, not just the Baltimore area where they're based, but the global community.
Yeah, it's important. It's important. So you are a college professor, but you're actually still doing a form of life coaching even there.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And so, and as you see on the bottom of the screen, my students and my clients call me Coach J.
Hmm.
That's the handle I go by. And so I am a life coach. My practice is called Intervision Life Coaching. And it's framed around the idea of living strong on purpose, which is a choice that people can make, can choose to become intentional around. And it's about helping people figure out what matters to them and then building strategies to accomplish what matters to them. And so I do that with my students, and I do it with as well with my clients who are individuals who are working on their professional stuff, on their personal stuff, or small businesses, or other students who are looking for that kind of support. Right. And it's something again I would do for free, but again I'm doing the work, so I earn the money. But it's
That's
fun.
awesome.
And I think the cool thing is that being able to do both of those things that are the loves of my life from wherever we happen to be,
yes,
regardless of whether it's Detroit, Baltimore, Colombia, Panama, or wherever.
Right.
And that's the joy of having the privilege to do what I love from wherever with whomever.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you guys have kind of had that in common where you definitely are open to exploring new spaces. And so as a couple, now tell us how, as a couple, you decide where you're going to be because, we just learned like you have roots in all over the place, but more recently, Panama and Colombia, which people who follow Black Expats in Panama or beiptours knows that those are two countries that we do cultural relocation tours in. So tell us about how you all have decided what your main countries are going to be and how you work that out. Just tell us how do you get there as a couple? Because believe it or not, well, no, it's probably I can see where it's not surprising, but a lot of couples do have a hard time deciding together on what to do.
Well, the first thing is that Aisha is the research queen, and she can research the stew out of anything. And so when we first started thinking about living out of the country, again, after being back from Tortola and Virgin Gorda, we had a couple conversations about it, and then she started doing the research and just online looking at what are different countries that are receptive to people who are U.S. expats. What about cost of living? What about safety? What about medical services? Because we are in our 70s, and I mean, it was 60s at the time, but we're in our 70s. And so having access to world-class healthcare is important for us.
Right.
And managing our expenses in terms of cost of living is important. And so we looked at countries from safety, cost of living, and medical services. And from those perspectives, and Panama surfaced to the top, Colombia, Costa Rica, I think even Belize was on the list at one point.
It was.
And we, after some further research and discussion, we decided, well, let's go look at Panama and see. Now, unlike my dear wife, I am not going to just up and move to a country sight unseen. It is not going to happen. But I am willing to go see. So we set a date around her birthday in 2016, which is July. Coincidentally, part of the timing had to do with our family was looking after my then 90-plus-year-old mother. And so Aisha and myself, my sister, and some other family members were sharing responsibility for looking after her. We were all living in Baltimore at the time. Eventually, she went on to be with the Lord, and that was in June of 2016. And so when she passed, then we said, okay,
we were waiting for
now
that
we have our
time.
release
So we went
to go and explore other places. So we had a lot of things that we were balancing in terms of our family obligations and so forth to make sure that picking the time as well as the place was prudent for what was going on in our family. But once she passed on, we said, okay, let's go take a look at Panama. We went for about 10 days, And we spent a couple days in the city. We were supposed to be there 3 or 4 days, but after the second day, we said, okay, we had enough of
We had
this.
enough of that.
Um, and
I mean, it was too much for us, too busy. We wanted more of a calm lifestyle.
It was pretty intense.
It's a nice place to visit. Even once we moved to Panama, when, you know, at the beach, they have their holidays and everybody comes. That's when we go to the city and it's nobody in the city. And we could really enjoy it. So, yeah.
The Panama City is really intense. It's densely populated. It's driving around the streets or just, you know, navigating the streets is challenging. And it was, and we didn't speak any Spanish at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So
the metro.
And yeah. So we rented a car and decided, let's go and check out the beach area. We drove out toward Coronado, and we had a reservation there at a hotel nearby. We had a hard time kind of even getting there because there are not a lot of road signs in Panama.
Mm-hmm. Right. And the hotel was short of a dive. I told John, you get me out of here tomorrow morning. I don't care if you find something with a name.
But it was clean.
It could be a Holiday Inn, but let it have a name. Yeah. Yes.
But as a testimony to the quality of the people in Panama, we're driving out to this place. We're 3 hours into being on the road.
Lost.
We're lost. Don't speak hardly any Spanish.
None.
We got a printout from the Travelocity or whatever it was of the hotel that we were going to. And it had like horrible directions.
And no signs.
Yes,
So we pulled up at this convenience store, kind of like a 7-Eleven, but it was a local convenience store. And there were several people sitting out front and a couple police officers. And I approached the police officer and I pointed to the name of the place that's on the document that I had, and I said, how do we get there? He looked at
sign language.
It's all sign language. And of course, they didn't speak any English. And to their credit, and this was a joy for me, is they looked at it and then he passed it around to every person that was standing in front of that store. Mm-hmm. And first they said, they don't know. And finally one of them said, oh, you could see the light bulb go on.
Yes. And
they figured out where it was. He pointed to a bridge that was crossing the highway. He said, La Puente. And I didn't know what that meant, but that was a bridge. And he pointed at and he said, Cuatro, that way. And so I understood what he meant. Go to the fourth bridge that way, and that's where the place is. And he said, turn right. Uh-huh. He said it in Spanish, but I got it. So I thanked him. We got in the car, and then he came knocking on the window. No cuatro, tres. So he updated the information. And so
he was better with Travelocity.
And we drove down to the end of the road, and we got to the end, and there were two ways you could turn. And I said, okay, so do left or right? And Aisha was like, well, you pick. So I picked left, and it turned out to be the correct direction for the hotel.
Yeah.
We stayed there that night. It took a while to get through the check-in process, but while we were having dinner at the restaurant, a couple who was sitting at a table near us, and we recognized that they were speaking English. Mm-hmm. They thought we were locals. Uh-huh. We weren't. So they thought we were locals. Of course, we were not. But we spoke to them, and we realized that we both spoke English. It turned out that they lived in Southern California, near where we used to live.
Wow.
And I used to teach drama in Calabasas, where they lived. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So, we shared with them that we had just arrived
at that hotel,
and we weren't really happy with it, but we didn't really have any other option at that point. And so the husband said, well, you might want to come check out the place where we're staying. It's just a few miles down the road. And if you like, I'll call my real estate agent and have her set up an appointment for you for tomorrow. And we looked at each other like, really?
Wow, yeah.
Like
10 o'clock checkout time, we'll be there.
Kind of going out of their way to help us find a good accommodations. Uh-huh. And so we said, well, of course, we'd love to do that. And so we made the appointment for 10 o'clock the next day. We went and
No, we didn't actually just go. And I have to tell people, when you leave the country, let your bank know about your credit card that you're going to be using it out of the country. And John did not. So when we went to check out of this not quite a dive hotel, our credit card would not work. And so I told John, I'm leaving. You're gonna have to wash the dishes or do something because I'm out of here. I got a 10 o'clock appointment. So anyway, the guy was really kind. He let us use his phone because, of course, we didn't have a phone that could call the US.
Yeah.
And the bank said, okay, give it 10 minutes and it won't, it'll be good.
Right,
They had to call the fraud protection.
Yes, yes.
10 minutes, an hour, it still wasn't working. And I'm like, we got to be at this other place at 10 o'clock. So I told John, well, just use my card. And I love that sound when it goes, when the thing is going through.
Yes.
So that's how we got out. So we could go look at this place. Go ahead, babe.
now, that's how it was back in 2016.
Exactly.
Most banks don't require you to do that anymore. But just in case there are a few that do,
yes,
it's important for your community to know that's
I always recommend that you do.
Yes. Check that out with your bank just to make sure. And if they do require that, then give them. And sometimes you can do it in their app. Sometimes you can do it
or online.
Or sometimes you need to talk to a person. But whatever you have to do, make sure that your access to your financial resources is available to you when you're out of the country.
Right.
So we met with this place, and we were walking up to this place, and Aisha said, well, don't act like you've never been anywhere. I mean, like,
it was gorgeous.
It was gorgeous.
It was beach view, nice, like I was looking for before. And I said, John, just don't act like we never been nowhere before. It was exciting.
It was beachfront. And when I say beachfront, I mean, like take the elevator to the ground level, walk out the door, you're standing on the beach.
Was it Coronado Bay?
Yes, you've been to our place there.
And and the lady toured us around and showed us the facilities. I mean, it's got 3 pools, it's got a gym, it's got
rooftop deck,
wonderful amenities. And we had already met the couple that we met the previous night. We didn't know how big of an expat community there was there at the time.
It's big.
That was we'll find out later.
Right.
But it was a wonderful facility. And the price, and she said, well, whatever you're paying at the other place, I'll just charge you that.
Hello?
Because I thought that they were going to charge us some ridiculous
amount of money
it was that was commensurate with the quality of what we were seeing.
No.
So let's be clear. You weren't at a hotel. You were at a condo, right? And so it was like, was that pre-Airbnb? That was just word of mouth, reference somebody, you know what I'm saying?
It was word of mouth. It was pre-Airbnb. It was just a condo. And so in this particular building, there are a lot of condos that people will own, and then they make them available to rent, either short-term or long-term.
Right.
Yes.
And so we were walking into an opportunity to rent for short-term, which is, in this particular case, we were only going to be there 10 days. And it was on short notice. I mean, like we walked in that day, but she was making it available. She was willing to be flexible with the price to accommodate. But here's the better part.
Right.
Here's the big part. We said, well, we're planning on visiting other locations.
Boquete,
Padassi, and other places.
Yeah, we was going to go all the way down to Costa Rica. And she said, well, just leave your luggage here and I won't charge you for the days that you're not here.
Have you ever?
We knew we loved that place.
Look, said no one ever.
Yeah.
And the couple who told us about her said, John and Aisha, you have 10 days. Why don't you explore where you are instead of jumping to all these places, and you'll never really know the places you jump into because you won't have enough time. So we end up staying right there, meeting our community. Days. Matter of fact, didn't we sign a lease?
Before we left, so remember, we were there for 10
July.
days. Before we left, we signed a lease that would become effective a year later.
Because we
knew we wanted to be there. And because during the course of that 10 days, we met other members of the expat community who were located there. And we realized that not just the facility, but the people were folks
Yes.
that we want to be connected with. And so
Very
we have this
close knit
community,
community in Coronado.
very close, and in the surrounding towns
The
that are very close by.
restaurants,
It has great supermarkets. It has great restaurants. It has access to banking facilities and gyms and whatever you could think of that you might need.
Still terrible streets.
Now,
well, they fixed a few of the potholes, just a few.
Now, one of the weird things is that if you go an hour further west, from that point to the end, to all the way to Costa Rica, the roads in Panama are wonderful.
They're the best.
But for whatever reason, in this Chame region of Panama, road maintenance is not high on their budget.
It's not.
But the facility itself and the people who are there make up a really rich experience. And so we did go back that Christmas after, just to make sure that we were not crazy for having signed
the lease for June.
And we confirmed that, yep, this is where we want to be. And so that June we came back and we were there to stay.
Wow.
And
he needs all that security. For me, it doesn't matter. I know I usually can have a good feeling that this is what we should do. Yeah.
Well, I think that somebody need to, somebody in the team needs to be that person. Alfredo is that person, whereas I'm like, let's go, let's go, let's do it. But then when you do it and things fall into place like that, by that time, John was like, okay, we can do this, because you knew that God was setting that up. He had to be. So
we knew all the different experiences. We knew the hand of God was on us.
Absolutely.
And so we said, okay, this is it.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to get through because we could go on all day. So so you're in Panama, and so you moved to Panama in 2017.
Correct.
You started your first lease. We met you in the Thanksgiving of that year.
Yes.
Remember, bless her heart, she passed. The white lady that had made that pie. Sandy. And we went to y'all. Had I known we were going to have so much fun, and had I had seen your house before we went, we would have spent the night. It was such a wonderful day in Coronado that day, meeting all the expats and everything, all your friends that you knew. But coming back, baby, started raining. That road was whining. My knuckles was white. I know his knuckles was white. And so I always have that memory too. But that pie. I said, who made the pie? And was it apple pie or sweet potato pie?
No, sweet potato girl.
Baby. And they were like, y'all was like, Sandy was like, I made the pie. I said, okay. Thinking to myself, I am not eating that white woman's pie. Okay. I am not eating the white pie. The white
she heard you. The white she heard you. She heard you say no white woman could make sweet potato pie. And she said, well, this one can. She heard you.
When I had that pie, Lord, it was the running joke forever. I said, Lord of mercy, I hadn't got more. But,
we fought over the last piece. Me and you fought over the last piece.
Yes. Oh my God. I just remember it tasted so good. It was just the joke. It was just such a fond memory. So tell me this. So when y'all decided to, so you came and you did the lease that first year. Of course, as a U.S. citizen, you could have stayed in Panama 6 months and then leave. So when did you decide that you were going to get residency?
Right away.
As soon as we got there.
As soon as we did the lease.
For that 27 time.
Right.
We started the lease process. I'm sorry, the residency process. And we had talked to a number of the people who were in our community, in the immediate Coronado community, and said, well, who did you use? Who did you use?
Right.
And one attorney's name kept coming
Myra.
Myra kept coming up over and over and over again. And so we decided.
And her prices were the best because some of them were really expensive.
Yeah, her prices were the best.
and her professionalism was good, a family business.
Communication skills were great,
Yeah,
very
so
straightforward, no
mhm,
craziness.
nothing.
The only thing that went kind of unexpectedly was because Panama requires, as a couple, you to provide a copy of your marriage license that has been certified no more than six
Six
months
months.
ago.
Oh,
And the
so
company,
y'all, that's what you were saying. Your marriage license had to be apostille.
yeah, but and it
Yes.
had to be, but even
But
before the apostle, it had to be produced by um, 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 the off by
The
the
authority that
authenticated.
issued
authenticating
it.
agent with it had to have a stamp on it that said it had been produced no more than 6 months ago.
And
Really?
we
I don't think
and
they
we
do
went
that
to the
anymore.
yeah, well, Colombia does. We went
Well,
to
I don't think because I don't remember us having to. I don't. Maybe I forget. I don't remember us having to do
maybe,
that.
maybe because you were married to a Panamanian.
Oh,
That could
maybe,
be different. I
maybe,
don't know.
maybe,
But
maybe.
we went to the embassy in Washington, D.C. and did
Hmm.
a lot of the work,
Mhm.
Right.
So, and they sealed it
And
and
apostille,
apostilled everything, but they forgot the marriage license.
and
So,
they didn't tell us that it had to be that
because we could,
we
yeah,
would have gone to L.A. and have the L.A. County Recorder
because that's where we got married.
issue a new marriage license.
So that was a problem. So, but anyway, Myra, our attorney, she said, well, I'll just file yours separately. So in Panama, we're not married.
Oh, so
Don't tell
okay.
nobody.
So did y'all come in pensionado?
Yes,
Yes.
but we're
But
Oh,
two
we're,
so you
that's
separate
came
two
in
separate,
pensionados separate.
two
separate
singles. Yes.
because we
Well,
didn't
that
have
that
that
probably
marriage.
listen. Sometimes getting around some of the red tape, I could say sometimes that Panama could be petty, baby, when it comes to some
But
stuff.
that,
But the
that
thing about Panama is the things that is like really, really stickler about it is across the board. It's not, sometimes that happens to us in the US and it has a lot to do with who we are. You know what I'm
okay.
saying? But here it doesn't matter who you are. This what it say and this how they doing it. But that was a
Mhm.
that was a smart workaround that I guess your attorney
Yeah.
suggested because you got the residency either way.
We
Well,
did.
but yeah, it's good. But if something happens to him, I would have to go through red tape to have a power of attorney, or he needs to give me power of attorney to manage him if something happened, and I have to give him power of attorney. So that's one thing. And then in Colombia, they just started doing the same thing. Before it wasn't like that.
Really.
Yeah,
So, but you can do that, and your attorney can do that. So if anything happens in Panama, that's what that would be because the thing that I learned was that, for example, when we bought our house, even
Mhm.
though I'm his wife and everything like that, we never put our money on the same properties or investments. Either he bought a
Okay.
car or I bought a car. We bought a house, anything that big ticket items that we had to finance, we never bought them together. It's just like, why use both your credit when you don't have to?
That's
Save
what
his
I
credit
heard
Mhm.
for a
too.
house or whatever, just because
Right.
that debt to income ratio, it gets heavy, and you got other
Mhm.
I've been
things
hearing
and
that.
stuff.
Yeah.
So, but when we bought our house here, because it'll be 13 years, believe it or not, that we purchased our
Wow.
home in November.
And that's a lovely home too, by the way.
Wow. Yeah.
That is.
Thank you, thank you. But when we purchased the house, I was used to purchasing the home, and he would be on the mortgage or I would be on the mortgage, but baby, on that closing table, we were both on the deed. They didn't
Okay.
allow that in Panama. And as much as I
Oh,
love my husband, baby, we almost had a situation. I was like, okay, how am I gonna tell him that I need some assurances? These pretty women out here in Panama. Okay, I said,
well,
listen, he done found him a youngin, lost his mind, and put me out, changed the
right.
locks.
Okay.
Baby, look, anything can
Not your
happen.
husband. Yeah.
The good thing is that if anything happened to him, the house would, of course, be mine because of the insurance and everything that you have to buy when you take a mortgage here. But at the end of the day, there was no exception. The
Okay.
only way I was going to be, it's thundering outside. The only way I was going to be on that mortgage was to, the only way I was going to be on that deed was to be on that mortgage. And because I
Okay.
was an absolute foreigner at the time, it was much more smart for
Mhm.
him just to be
That's
on
true.
there. So, and
Hmm.
then you have the situation where I'm thinking, how can I just have something? And you can't do a power of attorney in the United States that says, if something happens to me or something happens to John in Panama, I am the power of attorney. Nope, it has to be
Has to
Panama
be here.
certified. So
Hmm.
the
Mhm.
U.S., a certified document from the U.S. is not going to, um, it's not going to convey and or
Right.
be
Right.
worth any have any legal merit in Panama. But now that you're both residents, that's something that you could do. Have your
Right.
power of attorney, certified
Mhm.
here.
And we
Hmm.
now have an apostolized marriage certificate because we
Okay.
were just in LA. And
Okay.
so we can send that to our attorney in Panama if it
And
makes a difference.
maybe pull it together from there.
Right. Yeah. If it
Hmm.
makes a difference or if the power of attorney is enough. Right now we're just really comfortable and happy with it. We're more disillusioned with Colombia because we've had to renew our residence every once a year or every 2 years, according to how they decide. And since they've gotten this new president, he makes it more difficult for you to keep your residence going. At one time, you could do it at the embassy in Florida, or it only took you 2 weeks to get residence for Colombia.
Hmm.
And now they have a doctor come out to do a physical at your house. Um, they want you to do an FBI report, which Panama used to do, but Colombia never did that.
Panama always
Colombia
did,
made
yeah.
it so easy for you
Wow.
to get residence, but now and then they never asked for an apostolized marriage certificate. Well, matter of fact, the first time they made a mistake and did us separately, which made our insurance more expensive.
Mm.
Because when we got as a couple, the following time, I think our insurance before was $120 a month when we were separated.
In
But when we got
Colombia.
Colombia. When we got together, it was like $47, which it is now
Wow.
$47 a
Hmm.
month for us to have insurance with no copays.
Okay.
Most of your medicine is free.
We got to
Uh,
get there because I wanted to talk to that. I wanted to, oh my goodness, so much.
okay, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So you're in Panama, you got your residency, it was fairly easy except for that little part. So that's
Right,
wonderful. You have permanent residence here, right? You have permanent
right.
residence. You're eligible for jubilado, so
Hmm.
all the airfare discounts and I don't know
Love
why
it.
you
All the
can't get
benefits. Yeah.
discounts in the
Love it.
grocery store. But
Yeah.
that's the only thing. Like, why would you not give seniors discount in the grocery store? I don't know. But,
You can get puntos.
transportation, huh?
You get puntos in the grocery store.
Oh, CCC. And I think that it's a good way to remember your new ID number. The puntos,
Right.
the
Okay,
point
yeah.
system. I do. I think, getting the points, they're into points, puntas,
Hmm.
in Panama, but it's a good way for you to remember your new, pretty much Social Security number,
That's
which
the
is the
number.
cedula here,
Federal.
right?
Right.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
because I know Al's by heart. I know his, I don't know mine, but it's my business. It's my business to know his business. Um, but so anyway, so you got all that. You love Coronado. You come into the city when you want to do something different. You've been back and forth into Coronado for 8 years, right?
Right.
Right.
For 8 years. You have your home in Detroit, so you held on to a U.S. anchor,
But
which
we had
allowed.
a tenant. We had a tenant here, which generates
Okay,
income for us. And they moved
yes,
out in April. Beautiful people. Oh my God. We couldn't ask for better tenants because we
wow,
sold our place in Baltimore because we had the tenants from hell. John
yes,
was
I
flying back
remember.
all the time.
I
But to
remember.
tell you about Colombia, we went there just to visit for 3 months and we got stuck with the pandemic. But the second day there, John was like, "Oh, I love it. I don't want to leave." And I said, "Well, we were just on HGTV and you were talking about toes in the sand and you wanted to stay in Coronado Bay." He said, "Well, we'll talk about that later." But anyway, during the pandemic, we were stuck in Colombia. Nothing was flying, but we were pleasantly stuck.
In
I mean,
Medellin.
In Medellin.
In Medellin, in Sabaneta. And
Sabaneta.
we love Sabaneta. So we got an apartment. We bought
Okay.
furniture. We bought stoves. We bought refrigerators. And I told the agent in Coronado Bay, I said, "Girl, just sell all my stuff. We'll do a 50-50 split. And when I come
Okay.
back, I'll just rent a furnished place." Okay. So we end up staying in Colombia for 3 years because with the pandemic, I did research on John said I researched which towns have the most coronavirus cases. And so
Mm-hmm.
ours started off with 12, then it was 30, then it was 300. And I said, "Well, we got to go somewhere because this is too much for this little town." But you could only go out on the day your scheduler had an even or odd number,
Oh,
or
okay.
your passport, or your driver's license. And my scheduler had an odd number. My passport had an even number. So I could go out any day that they let you go out. But John, Mr. Jumping Jack, who have to go out, he only had an odd number. And so he was having a fit. Sometimes for 5 days, you couldn't go out. And it wasn't like the United States where people say, "I'm not going to do it. I want my freedom." No, you sat your butt in that house
Yes.
until it was
Same
your
here in
day.
Panama. But now,
Mhm.
so when you said your cedula, were you talking about your Panama cedula, or you had already gotten your
We
We,
hadn't
Colombia
got it. It could be any scheduler,
any
any,
cedula?
any
any
ID.
ID.
Yeah. And if you were a visitor, they didn't tag you for overstaying because you couldn't go nowhere. Wasn't nothing
Yes.
flying. So it was fine. But we had applied before the shutdown. And
Okay.
you usually could get it in 2 weeks. But since the shutdown, immigration was closed because he wanted to be there right away. So we jumped on it, and it wasn't expensive like Panama to get
Okay.
it. See, so
Mhm.
Okay.
we applied. But anyway, we end up staying, and then I saw the numbers was going up. We moved out to Jardín. If you ever want a beautiful town in Colombia,
Is
Jardín.
that where they have the flower festival?
They have it there too. Almost all the little
Okay.
places have it.
Well, the main one is Medellin, where the flower festival is.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
But Jardín is about 3 hours drive south of Medellin.
Okay.
It's a little quaint town that probably has a population of about maybe 2,000 people, if that.
People ride
They
horses
ride
mostly instead
horses,
of cars,
Wow.
bicycles,
or
motors
tuk-tuks. You take a tuk-tuk. Our
Yes.
house was by a waterfall, beautiful landscape, $225 a month
for a two-bedroom
for a
Wow.
town.
two-bedroom house with wraparound veranda. I love Hardin. The
How
center is
much?
the truth.
How much was your place in Sabaneta? Do you remember?
About
About
four,
450 for
yeah.
3 bedroom, 2 baths,
Wow.
It's
pool.
up to about 600
Yeah,
now.
it's gone up because all the expats have moved there.
Yes.
And that's making me sad, because so our place now there, what is it, 550?
6.
It's six. But it's a 3 bedroom, 2 bathrooms. Yeah.
So it's
That's
still way less expensive than in anywhere in the
Right in
States.
the city is in the heart of the park,
But
you know.
so it's more expensive than it used to be, but still
yes.
way less expensive than
Yeah.
everywhere.
Everything's going up, and there's some concerns too in Colombia because in Colombia now I don't believe you have to have health insurance to become a resident here in
You
Do
do.
in in,
You
in
do.
Panama. You do,
in Panama? No.
No.
In
but
Colombia,
Columbia,
you
yes.
do
yes.
in Colombia.
Yes.
But I am learning because we've started our cultural relocation tours there, and man, that insurance is good. That insurance is good in Colombia.
Mhm. It
Um,
Yeah.
is.
yeah, it's very good, and you don't have to be a resident to get it.
I didn't know
So
that.
And the medical services are
One
world
class.
class.
yes, I did not know that until I went there. Oh my goodness, what is the name of my hospital? We're
Steady Med.
associated with the hospital. It's in Poblado. Is it in Poblado? It's Tuberin or I can never remember the name
Superman,
of it.
no.
Huh?
Is it SETI Med?
No,
SETI Med? Oh,
not
because
that.
that's a
This,
really
this
good one.
hospital, this hospital is beautiful. I think
Okay.
it's kind of in the. It's either in either Lorelis, the neighborhoods are still kind of, I don't know, but it's either
Mm-hmm.
in like near to Lorelis or
Okay.
Poblado, and
Huh.
but it's a beautiful hospital and state of the art care. And for so long, I just looked at Colombia for
Columbia.
like butt, boobs, and lips, but their healthcare is really good. If you get there, like y'all got y'all insurance when you were still, I guess, in your 60s.
So yeah, when you apply for your residence, you have to get health insurance, and whether you're and I think
I like that too.
yeah, I do too.
That and because first of all, it's world class medical care that's available in Colombia, and you know that in our case, we're further along in age, but no matter what your age is, you know that if you have any kind of medical needs, that you have access to the resources right there to
Mhm.
get it taken care of. You don't. For some people, are concerned about, well, do I need to get back to the United States if I have a medical concern? And the answer is no. I mean,
Mhm.
I've had dental work done there. I've had vision work done there. I've had
MRIs,
MRIs and everything else.
breast exams,
Um, uh,
endoscope,
endoscope,
scope.
In the sky.
Yeah,
colonoscopy. We've had
yeah,
all of that stuff done.
right.
Even in that little itty bitty town of Hardin that we were talking about, we have located great medical care there. Even in a place that's so small that you would think that it wouldn't even be available, but they
Right.
have it.
Or they'll send you to the next little town, which is close by that have bigger equipment. But like doctor's appointments, if they're not on our insurance, are like $5 or $10, you
I don't
know.
know how to do
And
it.
and that kind of helps in Panama because in
Mhm.
Panama, after 65, you can't get insurance other than the catastrophic, which is quite expensive. And at 65, I took the test like a week before my birthday and they turned me down. So
Well, they
having,
may have changed that since then,
uh-huh.
because I know for a fact that it's at least 70 now. Once you
Oh,
get to,
yeah.
so it's 69, then you guys did things quite, some years ago.
Right,
Because it's like 69. Once you get 69, once you hit that 70 mark, it's a different situation. But
right.
they also are now offering plans in Panama that will go beyond the 70. Of course, it's not the extravagant,
Mhm.
concierge, what do they call it? Comprehensive,
Mhm.
Right. Or
when you get the big,
catastrophic.
big insurance. Exactly. But it is more available now, as it
Mhm.
should be, because Panama is constantly courting seniors.
Yes,
So
Mhm.
they
if
are.
you're courting seniors, you need to have what they need when they get here. And
Exactly.
healthcare
Right.
is a big thing.
But we'll fly over to Colombia if anything looks like needs attention. And so that'll work for us. Yeah.
Do you know that also one thing that I learned when my first exploratory trip in Colombia, when I met with the hospital? Do you know that there are United States health insurance companies that
Mhm.
will send their patients to
Yes,
Mhm.
Colombia for
Oh
exactly.
yes,
health
we
Yeah.
are.
care? They
Yeah.
will pay for your flight and
Yeah.
everything
Mhm.
Exactly. It's
That's
cheaper.
true.
They save money. Yep, I read that.
because they save money. I did not know that. I did not know that. So just
Yeah.
think how beneficial it is for us as seniors to still
Uh-huh.
be able to go and get an insurance that, it's not that hard for us to get even from the United States to
Hmm.
Colombia. But if you're
Right.
already in Panama or one of the surrounding countries, it's even that much easier.
Mhm.
And you
That's
don't
true.
have to be a resident to get it.
Right.
In Panama, you have to be a resident to get
Okay.
Mhm.
health insurance.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yes. So that's a good thing to know about Colombia. And for those that are watching, I have an interview with an insurance agent from Colombia that will blow your mind when it comes to the benefits that we have. It's mind blowing. We're missing out on an opportunity to cover ourselves. Entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs in the United States. The United States, that whole healthcare situation, I believe is just something else to keep us beholding to the
Mhm.
1%.
Okay.
Hmm.
You cannot, as an entrepreneur, the one of the biggest things that keep people from having their own business is the fact that they have to pay for that insurance without any corporate help from Mr. Gilmore.
Right.
And that right there is what keeps you giving your amazing talents to a
Mhm.
corporation instead of creating
Hmm.
your own business. That is what keeps you creating these amazing patents for these
Hmm.
big companies. And then you
Yes.
create the patent for them because you need that job, you need that insurance. Then they make you sign it over. It's an
Hmm.
assignment. And then they make billions off of
Billions
it.
of dollars. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, but you could go out on your own. I mean, it's just okay. That's a whole nother conversation. But I believe that we're missing opportunities with international healthcare plans, particularly the one in Colombia. Let me ask you about your Colombian experience with regard to being expats. Did you find other expat communities? How did you find the locals and how did they treat you? And how often do you actually get back to Colombia?
The expat community changes because people come and they go. About 2 years ago, we had a real strong expat community, but a lot of people left. The Colombians, we joined this group for English Spanish speakers in the Oviedo Mall, and they meet once a week. And we met a lot of Spanish people there who want to speak English, and in reverse, we want to speak Spanish. So we met friends, maybe three or four that are really close.
Hmm.
So we have that community of friends, and they've taken us to Sopatran and hours drive to their community for their family to meet us, cook for us, and they celebrate with us when we come to town. They take us to the best restaurants, and they love us. We even call them our kids. But that's we have a few Colombian friends. Mostly Colombians stay close with their families.
Hmm.
I found that true in even Panama.
In Panama, yes.
They kind of stay in their family group. The expat community is like in Panama, but not as many.
It's not as cohesive as it is, and it's not as centralized in
Yes.
a
People are all over the
location.
place.
They're
Hmm.
spread out. And so now there are a lot of expats there, all over Medellin, especially among the veteran community. They're spread out all over
Hmm.
the place. But there isn't, at least we have not yet found a place where you can go to and you can run into a lot of expats in one place. There was one restaurant that we used to visit quite a bit
Sweet George's.
in La Relas community of Medellin, because they had events and that centered around expats
Mondays,
on Mondays.
Mondays.
But that,
Sweet George's.
yeah, Sweet
Yeah.
George's. Now, I'm not sure that's happening
Well,
anymore.
the wife has it now. He's in Brazil. So
Right.
yeah.
Have you ever
Sweet
been to
George's.
Skybox?
We've been
Yeah,
to
we've been there.
Skybox,
We met
and the
Don,
owner,
Tim.
Tim.
Tim, yes,
Yeah,
Tim.
we
he's a good guy.
Yes.
matter of fact, we talked about doing, I do murder mystery dinner theater.
Right.
So we talked about me doing a murder mystery dinner theater there. So we went and looked at the place and we agreed that it's something we would do.
I have met Tim a couple of times, and he's part of our tour.
Ah,
I thought it was a great opportunity to support Black Expat doing business there. I love his place. The food is great. And so with our first tour, like he's on day number two, and we're having lunch there. He's opening up just for us.
okay.
I told him, I said, I would love to have a meetup, while we're there so that I could bring like the people that are with us so that they can meet other expats. So he's
Okay.
Mhm.
working on putting something together while we're there. But
Okay.
Okay.
yes, I absolutely, and I love Lorella's is beautiful.
It's a nice
Larella's, I
community.
like it. I
It's
like
relatively
it.
flat
It's flat,
compared to the
walkable.
rest of the
Come,
area because Medellin is kind of in
Lord,
the valley, and
the
so it's
hill, the hills,
Sabaneta has hills too.
but
Sabaneta, the hills.
Medellin is spring year round. It's beautiful weather year round,
Yes, it is.
and I love
Yes, it
I
Medellin.
is.
love that. Yeah.
They and people say Medellin has perfect weather. I'm like, well, what is perfect weather? It's like depends on what you like. But I have to be honest. When I went there in October, the first time I went was in October, and I never broke a sweat. I was busy, but I
Uh-huh.
never broke a sweat, and I never had needed a jacket. And I said that's probably about as perfect as it gets, right? It wasn't too
Right.
cool, and it wasn't too hot.
Well,
So I'm loving exploring.
we go maybe if we're there, we've stayed like a year straight because you was wondering how often do we go. We left in February and we were there for 3 months. And then we went to did we go to
Went
Panama
to
as well?
Panama.
Then we went to Panama. We were there for like 3 months.
Wow.
So it's no set time that we go or stay. In November, we'll leave here, October, November, we'll leave here and we'll go to Panama because it's my turn. Okay. And then we'll split sometime between Colombia. So we get to do whatever we want to do. When you
Yes,
retire,
you
you do
create.
grown folks. We grown
That's it.
folks. We could do
That's
whatever we
it.
want to do. So that's
But
kind of where we are.
so I don't know that we mentioned, but John favors Medellin, and you
Yes,
favor Coronado,
Yes.
Panama.
Yes.
But you have figured out how to split the time. You've created communities and friends where you
Oh,
are
yes.
in either place,
Mhm.
and it sounds like you're fulfilled.
Yeah. And I like seeing him happy with his speaking Spanish and acting like he even changed his name to Juan Bancos.
What
Okay. And I love
he
to see
changed
him
his
happy.
name to?
When he's with people and he talks Spanish, he tells them his name is Juan Bancos,
which
which is
is
John
That's it.
Banks.
That's for
Yeah.
John.
So I laugh
Exactly.
at him. Yeah.
and one
John,
thing
I
about
ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you.
and
I
one
tell
thing
them my
about
name is Charlotte. They say,
okay,
what's
there
your
you
name?
go.
I say Charlotte.
They mess mine up, okay?
One of the things about Colombia, whether it's Medellin, Sabaneta, Jardín,
Guatape.
or any of the towns, you really should plan on bringing your Spanish game when you come. Now, Google
Yes.
Translate is great, and so it'll and there are a lot of people in the Medellin immediate area, they call it the Milla de Oro, which is the Golden Mile area,
That's
um,
El
El
Poblado.
Poblado and all that,
Mhm.
where a lot of the people who work in those businesses are bilingual because they realize that they're facing a lot of
Expats, America,
expats
and
or people from other countries that speak
Canada.
English.
Yeah.
But when you're in the countryside, you better bring your Spanish
Spanish
game
on.
because the folks in Jardín, they
Mm-mm.
no
No
hablando
habla inglés
inglés.
at all.
No.
The dogs don't even speak it, okay? Nobody. Okay? Nobody. And I got to tell you this. I tried. I got my Spanish on. We're in the park, and John whispers in my ear, "You forgot to conjugate your verb."
Oh, see, John.
Could you believe what? What?
Juan Banco. You messed up. You was messed up.
One must conjugate those verbs.
Or roll your
Listen.
arms.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
Yes, he
goodness.
did.
But
Oh,
it is important. And the other thing, let's just touch on this real quick. The
uh-huh,
money.
uh-huh.
Baby,
Oh,
like you said, Aisha, me and you are a lot alike. I don't do math. The math is not my ministry.
okay.
Okay. And
Okay.
so when it comes to all that converting in Colombia, I
Uh-huh.
just find myself not buying anything.
Oh,
It's just too much for me. It's too muchy. So how do you find the conversion? And a lot of people now they don't want U.S. dollars.
Well,
mm-mm.
in
No,
Colombia, you can't use
no,
US
you
dollars. If
can't.
you go to an ATM, you can use your ATM card from your US bank and you can put it in an ATM in Colombia and it's going to put out Colombian
Dollars,
pesos,
yeah.
whatever the equivalent is in Colombian pesos. And if you're not a numbers person, then You listen to what they
I
say.
listen to what they
and
say.
hand them a bill and say gracias.
Yeah.
But
If they
person,
say 20,000 pesos, then or 20,000 plus something else I hear, I'll give them 20,000 plus maybe a 10. And then that way I know that I did what they said. You see what I mean?
But the
So,
people
but
won't
it's
help
like
you.
4,000. Like I think right now it's about 4,000 pesos to a dollar.
Right. And it's
Uh-huh.
been that way for a long time, which means basically 4 to 1. So if somebody says 20,000 pesos, that's $5.
Right.
But you just kind of divide it by 4. But
He does the grocery shopping.
and
And use your
you
card.
can shop
Use
it.
your
You can
card.
use your American
Yeah, I
card,
used my card,
and they will
but I
Right.
ask.
didn't get pesos last time I was there, and I ended up regretting it because I didn't have money to tip. And then like, how
Right.
do
Oh
you
yeah.
tip? How do
Yeah,
you
so
tip?
and so when we land, I go to the ATM and I get pesos so that I can tip the people
As soon as you get
as
there.
soon as we get there,
Right.
and I hold on to whatever is left because I know we're coming back.
Back. Yeah.
I don't get rid of my pesos.
We have ours
I have a
here.
wallet full of pesos upstairs now,
Right.
but it is important to just. I mean, you can be comfortable knowing that when you put your card in the ATM, it's going to give you your money's worth in pesos. There is a conversion rate, and it's different depending on which bank you go to. But that's a detail. I wouldn't have people
Right.
sweating those kind of details.
About
But if you
that?
go to Colombia, which is the biggest bank in Colombia,
That's what we
you're
are
going to
part
get
of.
there everywhere in Colombia, and you're going to get a decent, fair rate.
Hmm.
So I would
And they
encourage
should
people to
get
use Banco.
people should get their account as soon as they get their cedular.
Mm-hmm.
And we like Bank of Colombia.
Yes, yes, and that's the other thing. So, listen, it's been amazing speaking to you guys, but we didn't get to talk about Aisha, the
Mm,
author.
okay.
So, tell us a little bit about what you're doing in that regard.
Okay. Well, I have a series of Caribbean novels. That's a trilogy. It started with Under Caribbean Skies, and I have that in Spanish now.
Wow. I saw
Yeah,
your
my
AI. I saw your AI advertisement where you had like the moving pictures. I loved it.
okay, yeah. So my first novel was also in Spanish, Under Caribbean Skies. Then I did Moonlight, and then I did Wings Over the Virgin Islands. And recently I did a 5 short story novel of murder mystery stories. So it's 5 short stories, and it's a lot of fun. It's a fun read. When I write, I try to write for people who don't have time to keep reading a whole bunch of stuff over and over. You know how you can say, what did they say? So
Yeah.
I go really at a fast pace and where you can visualize the images while you're reading and you can keep going. So I
Have you
try to
thought about
write.
audio?
Not yet. I just got on Canva. And so I'm doing a lot of converting. I love Canva.
Hmm.
Matter of fact, I just completed my first children's book, which
Wow.
is um, which is for sale on Amazon, and that's Ajamu's Big Dream. It's such a heartwarming story, of a boy who follows his father, a veterinarian, and he ends up on the farm working with all animals. That's his friends, and you see him go to college and graduate.
Wow.
So it's very uplifting and it's a fun story. And yesterday, I finished a short story, well, a children's book called Christmas at the Bentleys. And it's about foster kids who end up at this mansion of a house.
Oh,
This
I love
couple
it.
always wanted kids. Yeah, so it's a lot of, and it's a takeoff from, I've written a television series with 8 episodes completed called
Wow.
hashtag My Forever Family. And it's
Hmm.
the Bentley family, professional family that takes in all these foster kids. And they all have a special gift, a pianist, a mechanic, a beekeeper. So they all, a comedian. So anyway, they're my friends. All of my characters in my book, they're my friends. And
Well,
they're fast, fun reads.
let me ask you this. Where do you
Mhm.
find that you are most creative? The United
Where?
States.
Oh, I see.
Where are you most creative? The U.S., Colombia, or Panama? Where do you get most of, where do you find that you can dig in and really get some work done?
No particular place.
Okay.
Long as it's quiet. Matter of fact, I probably get less writing done in Panama because that's such a social community. People are always knocking at your door. Girl, you want to
Mhm.
do this? Girl, you want to go whale watching? You want to go see some sloth? You want to go to El Valle? I mean, you have to hide from people.
I
Come up
know.
on the rooftop. We got games going
I
on.
know.
Every day of the week in Panama is something
You
to
gotta
do.
you gotta learn to say no. In
I have,
Panama, you have to
I
learn to
have.
say no, or
I
you will
know.
run yourself ragged.
Or don't answer your door or your
Yeah.
phone. But
Wow.
anyway, in Panama, I probably get less done. And then there's the pool, there's water aerobics, there's the beach, to walk the beach. It's just so much to do. My favorite restaurants.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like that.
What is your favorite restaurant in Coronado? Picasso?
Oh boy. Uh-uh. No. Um, Las Bovedas.
Las Vegas.
Las Bovedas. But I like the one at Ensenada because you know they opened up one in Coronado upstairs above the
All
El
right.
Rey, the
What's it
supermarket.
called?
Las Bovedas.
Las Povedas.
And
Where
it's
were we
at
when I saw
Ensenada.
you last? Where we're
We were there.
Dennis. Oh,
We
was
were
that
there.
there?
That's
Okay,
it.
okay. With
Yeah.
Damani and
Yes.
Ife.
Okay,
They're
Yes.
they're
going
going
away.
away. So that
Okay,
yeah, that's my favorite restaurant.
okay, okay.
Uh-huh.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's a
Excellent.
great dining venue, and I'm not sure if they still do it, but they used to have like one day a week that they would have a fixed price menu, so you could choose a an entree, a
Dessert and
dessert,
wine
and wine for a fixed price,
and music.
and music, entertainment, and so it's a
So I
really
think
great
I want to
venue.
bring Murder Mystery Dinner Theater there. That's on my agenda.
For Skybox?
No, well, that too, but no, I'm talking about in Panama at Las
Las
Okay.
Bovedas.
Vegas.
I would
Well,
love to bring her.
make sure when you decide that, let me know early. The
Oh, I
schedule
will.
fills up fast.
Okay,
And
I
let me
will.
know early so I can get down there. Let me as we wrap up,
Uh-huh.
you guys have been amazing. The conversation has been so rich. Um, what is it that you just any parting thoughts you would like to leave? And I don't know if I asked you when it comes to couples. So you
Mhm.
all have decided, like like I said, John is partial to Medellin. You're partial to Panama, to Coronado in Panama. Did I
Mhm.
ask you? I don't think I got an answer on that. Like, how did you decide on that, and how do you feel like your system of just catering to each of your particular wants is working?
The system is really simple. I'm going to go to Cartagena for my birthday. Okay, let's go. Or she'll say, I want to go to Panama for my birthday. Okay, let's go. It's really that simple.
Oh, I want to spend the quiet seasons in Panama when there's not a lot of tourists, you
Yes.
know, and he'll say, okay, or I'll say, it's my turn, that
Yes.
we do it. And he have to yield because when it's his turn, I make everything really comfortable and nice for him. And we hang
Yes.
out in Colombia.
And
We have our spots where we hang out, and it's
it's
nice.
not an issue. And
Yeah.
maybe people would expect it to be an issue, but we
Hmm.
haven't found it to be an issue.
Nah, not at
This
all.
past, not this May, but last May, I wanted to be in Cartagena with our brother who we adopted who lives there. And we just went.
Went.
And a brother who we met who's a part of the expat community in Panama flew over to meet us there. And
Yes.
other folks who we know just all
We
joined us to meet
just,
us, and
yeah,
we just went.
we just agree.
And we went sailing on my birthday, and we had a wonderful time.
Yeah.
And I
But
think that's
neither one of you hate the other place. So it's
um,
like
No,
John
that's
prefers Medellin, you prefer Coronado, but it's not like I hate Coronado or I hate Medellin, but you just like one more than the other.
I
So
think the states gentlemen.
that's a good point. But I don't know that people think, well, why don't we have a couple of places? And I
Right.
think that's the big thing. It's like she wants to, because a lot of times people say she wants to move to Panama, and I'm not with it. Okay, so
Go
consider
for a while.
Panama is for find something you're with. That's
And
what
then
you guys say to me. It's like find something that you really that really makes you happy.
Right.
and when we first went to, because we had been hearing about Medellin from a lot of our friends, when we
Yeah,
went
from
there,
Panama people.
we got there, and within 4 days, I said, I love this place. I want to stay.
And
Mhm.
I did.
There was a certain energy about Medellin that just makes me feel like I'm the best version of me. And I don't know why that
Wow.
is, but I love the energy that I experience when I'm in Medellin and the surrounding area.
He likes the
Wow.
money too because you save a lot of money there.
Yeah.
John likes saving money.
Hey, I'm not mad
I
at
only had,
you.
and
I am
I
not mad at you, John.
That
Long as you
dollar,
ain't
that
got
dollar
no
works.
what did you call that hotel y'all was at in Coronado, close to what you call that hotel, that first hotel y'all stayed in Coronado?
oh, she called it. It was nearly a
The
dive.
dive, a close to a dive.
Near
I'm
dive.
not going to say the
Y'all
name
y'all
of
in
it.
no near dive places. You know, another question I have for you is when you rented in Colombia, did you take a year lease at any point?
We did.
We did, and we got out of it because the neighbors smoked cigarettes, and it was horrible. It stayed in our apartment. So, our friend who is an American, well,
Hmm.
he's Colombian and Panama,
Hmm.
he talked to the owner, and we got out of the lease. We had to pay an extra month.
But we did
We
sign
signed a
we
lease,
signed three
three
different leases
leases.
in Colombia. One, the first place Aisha just mentioned, the second place we moved to from the first place, and
Hmm.
then when we went to Jardín, we signed a third lease that was for that wonderful little casita.
But one thing you need to know is a lot of places want a
Mm.
factura. Factura?
Yes,
A fa-
Fedor.
Fedora. And that's annoying because they'll want you to pay 6 months in advance or you have to have a
Yes.
signer. And a lot
Yes.
of people now I see is getting away from that because you have so many expats there now, they don't
Yes.
have that. And they
Yes.
know we have the money.
I think it's
So,
up to 10. I mean, I think I've heard it can be really literally up to 10 months. That's what I was going to ask you.
right,
But
Mm-hmm.
once you are a resident, it's not that, right?
they still do it. They still do it. They
Yeah.
want it's worse than having a credit check with FICA and all of those people. But if you have have a Colombian friend that can speak for you, you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And we had that.
And then you don't have to pay for all
And
those
you don't
extra
have to pay for
fees.
all that. And then if it's been on the market for a while, you'll say, look, I'll give you an extra month's rent, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they don't have, the other thing about Colombia is that they do not have a realtor's license.
Neither does
Did you know
Panama.
that? Panama
Right.
does
Neither does
have.
Panama.
Right.
Panama does. Yes,
They
you
must have
need to be
just got it
licensed.
when
No,
we
you need to
moved
be
in.
licensed to sell and rent real estate here in Panama for sure.
That's new.
You
That's
need,
new.
but I guess people maybe don't, just like you're not supposed to rent Airbnbs in Panama City for less than 45 days.
Right.
People do it, but you're not supposed to. But no, there is such a thing as being a licensed real estate agent or broker here in Panama, but there is no such thing in Colombia.
Right.
In
Mm-hmm.
Colombia, they have associations
Mm-hmm.
they can be affiliated with, but
Right.
they're not licensed. Your cab driver can rent you a place,
Uh-oh.
so yeah.
That is true. But we do have a friend though
She met him, Henry.
who can help work
Yes, yes,
with
Right.
I
people.
talked to him. I
Okay,
talked to
good.
him.
And
Um,
another thing is if you go in as an Airbnb person, that's the best way to get your place, is to go in for like a week or two, and they'll usually go ahead and let you just stay.
uh-huh,
Hmm.
uh-huh. That's one way of getting an introduction to an owner that can make that choice,
Right.
Without the fedora.
right? Okay, because
Without
I
the
thought that was extreme. But
It
a lot of
is.
times people get on and I see people just not really like locking into Colombia. But when you think
Mhm.
about some of these restrictions, you kind of
Right.
understand why. It could be cost prohibitive for people and everything like that. So tell us how we get in touch with you before we wrap this up and say goodbye. It's been an amazing conversation. I
Okay.
appreciate you.
Well, I'm God folks at Gmail.
Okay.
and also
God folks
on
at
Facebook.
Gmail and
And also
Instagram, and that's your is that your
Instagram and
social media
Facebook.
handle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the best way to reach me is through my phone, which is +1 703
Hmm.
200 0188. Now, you can
Okay.
also get me at intervisionlifecoaching@gmail.com.
Okay.
But my phone is my best contact, and you can get me on regular phone, text, or WhatsApp.
Or
Uh,
WhatsApp. Okay.
yeah.
Me too.
You were about to ask a question toward a little while ago about like recommendations that we would have and things like that. I just wanted to touch on that
Okay.
one.
Okay. For people moving. Okay. Yes. Go ahead.
For me, the number one thing for people to make sure they have in them to approach moving into a foreign country is number one to love the culture and love the language. If you really get into the culture and the language of the place that you're moving to, it is really going to enrich the experience that you have, and people there will love you.
Right. And
Hmm.
don't try to change them. Don't bring your
Yes.
American stuff there. It's theirs.
Yeah,
That part.
love
Okay.
the language, love the culture, love the
That
people.
part. That part, that part. And I think that's something we really need to be reminded. And I don't know if it's intentional sometimes. It's just that you're used to things being a certain way and you're
Yeah.
expecting things to be a certain way. But, here, it's TIP. This is Panama. That is like, that's it. This is
That's it.
Panama.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you have chosen to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing to leave it.
And
Mm-hmm.
Panama's going to be all right without you. Panama's gonna be all right
That's
without you.
right.
So don't come here thinking that they need you to tell them how to do what they do. You
Yeah.
know, yeah, I think that's some good advice. That's some good advice. Well,
Okay.
I miss you guys. I hope that I'll be. We have our second tour in Medellin is December 10th through the 15th. So maybe if you guys are
That's a
there,
good time. That's
yes,
Christmas. Oh,
yes,
it's beautiful. Sabaneta is the most beautiful.
wow.
Got to come to
Oh,
South.
yeah. Well, we'll try to
Yes,
coordinate and be there at that time.
absolutely. I would love that. I
Okay.
would love for you to come to welcome dinner and tell the people what it's been like for you to be in
That would be
Colombia. But yeah,
Okay.
exciting.
we are.
We'll
That tour
plan
is
on that.
already about 70% sold out.
Okay. Because we did say we would be there for that time and then we go over
Yes,
to Panama.
to
So that
Panama
was
because
good. Yeah.
Panama Christmas is great here too.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas in
Yeah, but
Panama is awesome.
Sabaneta is
Okay, we gotta see. I'm looking forward to
okay.
it.
But you have to give credit. Now, in Coronado, when they
Mhm.
have Christmas and New Year's on the rooftop every year, it is an experience to be that'll amaze
Yeah.
Wow.
you.
But
Yeah.
no, the town doesn't decorate like Sabaneta. Sabaneta. Okay.
Sabaneta is special.
Sabaneta is
I
special.
mean,
I gotta
it's a
see
wonder.
this.
Send me
I
It's a
gotta
pictures.
wonder.
see it. Nothing like,
Uh-huh.
what, this is the amazing thing about us traveling.
Uh-huh.
It's just like, to be able to say, oh, but baby, you got to be in Sabaneta at Christmas
Uh-huh.
time is what a
Yeah.
blessing. Our ancestors just weren't able to do that.
Right. No.
And so I think that's the blessing. But listen, thank you so much, guys. I
Okay.
appreciate you
Okay.
being
Thank
on the
you.
Love
show.
you.
I
Mwah.
love you. I love you more. And there's nothing we
Okay.
could do about it.
Okay. Okay.
I'll take
Okay.
it.
All
Well, we
right,
appreciate
guys.
Okay.
you and Al, and this has
I'll
been a
see you
wonderful experience.
later.
Okay.
All
Sending
right.
hugs.
All
Ciao.
right. Have a
Este
good
muy
day.
bien.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Ciao. And there you have it. Another amazing interview. And we didn't even get a chance to talk about the first interview that we did. They were like one of my first interviews when I started doing this whole relocation thing. And it was in 2021, right? In the height of COVID. I was still in the house, still building, I started building Black Expats in Panama. But, this conversation was so much more in depth. I have so much a better understanding about living abroad and, just the whole Colombia, Panama thing. It was wonderful. So I hope that you enjoyed this conversation as much as I have. As you know, we've expanded into Colombia, cultural relocation tour in Medellin. is right now it's in August, and the next one is December 10th through the 15th. As always, we're cultural relocation tours in Panama. We've added a January tour, and I'm glad that I did because everybody was asking for it. And I do a sisters retreat, our sixth annual sisters retreat, in when I'm doing my Panama tour. And at the end of the day, it's like they were like, I want a beat relocation tour. So I gave them one. So, and it's already halfway sold out. So anyway, thank you so much for spending time with us. If you have any questions, let me know. Follow us everywhere at Black Expats in Panama. And shout out to Daryl Spears, my main man in Elite Conversations podcast. And that's it. I gotta go. But in the meantime, I want you to know I love you. I love you. I love you. And there's just nothing, absolutely nothing that you can do about it. God bless everybody. And I will talk to or see you soon. Bye.